I am Jean Morel, a soldier of the French 55th Infantry Division. When I tell this story, more than 80 years have passed, yet the memories of the spring of 1940 remain vivid, every breath, every smell, every sound, the scent of smoke, of gasoline, of damp earth beneath the trenches, and the cold ache in my chest when I heard that France had fallen in just 6 short weeks. In the winter of 1939, we were sent to Sedan, a small town beside the Ardennes forest. War had begun, but the front was eerily quiet. They called it le drôle de guerre, the phony war. Day after day, we sat in bunkers, drinking cold coffee, watching clouds drift across a gray sky, listening to the radio talk about the victories to come. France was confident, or rather, deluded, that she was ready. We had the Maginot Line, the strongest fortification in the world. We had a large army, and strong British allies. And we believed the Germans would never dare to cross the thick forests of the Ardennes, where, we thought, tanks could never pass. I remember one afternoon in March, Captain Delacroix, our commander, looked toward the forest and laughed. If the Germans want to come through there, they'll need to bring axes and saws first. Everyone laughed. No one knew that 2 months later, that laughter would be swallowed by fire and smoke. In the barracks, we heard that Hitler had taken Denmark, then Norway, but it all felt distant, as if the war were happening in another world. Everyone believed that if fighting came, it would be in Belgium, just like in the Great War. The generals planned in their conference rooms, the politicians chatted in Parisian cafes, and soldiers like me just waited. I was 27 years old then. Part of me wanted to fight, another part hoped the war would end before it truly began. But in May, the storm came, and it swept everything away. On May 10, 1940, the sky thundered with engines. The Stukas dived, screaming like demons. Bombs shook the earth, the explosions rattling our chests. We rushed out of the dugouts and saw black smoke rising along the horizon. The news spread quickly. Germany had attacked, not only Belgium, but also through the Ardennes. At first, no one believed it. Headquarters claimed it was just a diversion. But soon, waves of panzer tanks emerged from the forests, so many we couldn't even count. We, the poorly trained defenders at Sedan, became the first shield to meet the storm of steel. On May 13, the sky above Sedan turned red. German bombers attacked for 8 hours straight, until we could hear nothing but the endless roar and the sound of the earth collapsing. My friend Marcel barely lifted his head out of the trench before a bomb fragment tore him apart. We lost our officers, our communications, everything except fear and chaos. I remember kneeling in the mud, trembling hands gripping my rifle, watching the Meuse River glow in the firelight. Across the water, German tanks were crossing on pontoon bridges. I emptied my magazine, not knowing if I hit anything. Our unit broke apart. By nightfall, when the bombing finally stopped, only 8 of us were left alive. Sedan had fallen. From there, France shattered like glass. News of defeat spread faster than bullets. Our best divisions had been drawn north, where they thought the main attack was. Meanwhile, Hitler's armored spearhead raced westward, cutting the Allied armies in half. We were pushed back day after day. On the roads, I saw civilians packing their lives into carts, children crying in their mothers' arms, endless lines of refugees moving south. They asked us, "Where is the army? Who will protect us?" No one could answer. By late May, we reached Dunkirk. The sky was thick with smoke, the city in flames. Crowds swarmed the beaches, waiting for ships to take them to England. I watched thousands of British soldiers board the boats, disciplined, steadfast. We, the exhausted French, stayed behind, watching them disappear into the mist. Deep down, we all knew the truth. France had lost the war. That night, hiding in a warehouse, we heard the radio. The government is evacuating Paris. German troops are approaching the capital. Captain Delacroix, the same man who once laughed about the Ardennes, sat in silence for a long time. Then said softly, "Perhaps France will never be the same again." And he was right. June 1940. Paris fell to the Germans with barely a shot fired. We, the remaining soldiers, were ordered to lay down our arms. No one had the will to fight anymore. I still remember the voice of Marshal Pétain, the hero of the Great War, speaking on the radio. With a heavy heart, I must tell you that we must cease fighting. Those words cut deeper than any wound, like a knife to the heart of every Frenchman who still believed in honor. On June 22, the armistice was signed in the Campagne forest, inside the very railway carriage where Germany had surrendered in 1918. Hitler stood there, smiling. History had been reversed. Half of France was occupied, the other half became the Vichy government, obedient, submissive, deceiving itself with the word, peace. I was released from a POW camp later that year and returned to my small village near Lyon. The roads I once knew were now filled with German soldiers. The townspeople whispered and lowered their heads when they passed them. New posters covered the walls, proclaiming the new order of Europe, while the French tricolor had vanished. I was no longer a soldier, just a survivor carrying shame. Yet inside me, a small flame still burned. I heard of a young general, Charles de Gaulle, speaking from London, calling the French to keep fighting. That night, in my darkened room, I heard his voice over the BBC. France has lost a battle, but France has not lost her soul. I wept. For the first time in months, I felt part of something greater than fear. In the years that followed, I joined the resistance. We printed leaflets, hid deserters, sabotaged German rail lines. Many of us were captured, executed, or simply vanished. But every small act, every secret message, every drop of blood spilled, was a vow to a free France. Then, in 1944, when the Allied paratroopers filled the skies over Normandy, I knew France was coming back. When Paris was liberated, I stood on the Champs-Élysées among the cheering crowds, and I wept like a child. 4 dark years had ended. But the wound inside us, the ones who witnessed France's fall in 1940, would never fully heal.